Hey Jay, how's it going? Thanks for coming.
Hey, yeah, glad to be here. It's going well.
Yeah, good. Just so you know, yeah, I'll do a brief introduction, then I'll jump in and have both you and Elizabeth introduce yourselves, and then I'll jump into my deck, and then we'll do the Q&A and then the breakout after that.
I think we'll probably wait for one or a few more minutes. Yeah, just in case students are looking for the link to join. Yeah.
Elizabeth, I'm always surprised when I look at your background because you're pointing the one way that I don't see like the rolling carnival that is the other direction, usually in the newsroom at King. I always love to see that part of the newsroom because it always looks to me like this giant carnival going on over there with the decorations and just the constant party atmosphere that I think that newsroom is. And when I look at it from your angle, I don't see the party atmosphere behind you on the other side.
I'm the quiet side of the room over here.
I know.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start in a few minutes to wait for a few more students to join us. And meanwhile, please say hi to everyone in the chat box and share with our panelists who you are. Would love to hear from you. And I think for today's event, we'll start with a 30 minutes presentation about TEGNA, and then followed by 10 to 15 minutes Q&A. And throughout our conversation, you're welcome to share your questions in the chat box. And then student assistant Balaska can either read the questions for you, or probably you can unmute yourself to ask questions, because I think today we'll have a small group. And then after the Q&A, we'll do breakout rooms so you can further interact with our panelists from TEGNA in small groups or even one by one. Okay. Okay, no, I think I can go ahead to get a start while waiting. Yeah. So welcome to Comm Lead March First Friday with TEGNA. I'm Liao Zhao, the head of outreach. And for this First Friday, we're excited to feature TEGNA, which is a media company innovating in the digital age. And I encourage everyone to turn on your camera so we can see your lovely face. And now I would turn it over to TEGNA's senior content recruiter, Noah Cooper, to introduce himself, team members, as well as make an introduction about TEGNA. Your time, Noah.
Thanks so much, Leo. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. I appreciate seeing everybody here on a Friday joining us. This will be a total informal presentation, right? I'll be yapping for a while and yammering on, but it's okay for just to jump in and interrupt and unmute at any time as we kind of go through this. So what I'll be doing today in the first 25 minutes or so is just talking a little bit about TEGNA, some of the early career opportunities that we have as a company for people graduating with a bachelor's or a master's degree from Seattle, at the University of Washington. And then we'll be jumping into some Q&A at the end, and then some breakout rooms so you can ask some individual questions of some of the people on the call. So just to introduce myself and what I do for TEGNA, I am a senior content recruiter where I recruit across all positions, primarily for our newsrooms, across all 49 of our newsrooms across the nation, including King 5 in Seattle that you're probably most familiar with. I recruit primarily early career talent, so people right out of school, but then I also do a lot of training and development for those people once they're inside of our company, primarily on the content side, primarily news managers and newscast and digital producers. So I come from a content background in news. I'm a former show producer for Comm, the TEGNA station here in Spokane, Washington, where I'm still based. I'm just across the mountains from you over here in Spokane still. I've been here for 27 years. I ran the Comm 2 newsroom as the Comm news director for almost 15 years before taking my current role now. Now I'd like to introduce my colleagues from TEGNA. First, Elizabeth Wiley. Go ahead, Elizabeth, introduce yourself and what you do for TEGNA.
Thanks, Noah. As he said, I'm Elizabeth Wiley. I'm the director of digital media here at King. I'm also a former Comm lead grad. So I was cohort 11, so a little while ago. And actually, when I was there, it was just MCDM. That was the whole program. So we didn't have all the tracks and things you have now, but really enjoyed the program and got a lot out of it, and excited to meet some of the current students here. I've been with TEGNA for just over 10 years. I actually got my start here as an intern, so I was once that early career person Noah's talking about. I interned at King before moving into a digital content producer role and then into some leadership roles. So excited to meet all of you and answer your questions, and I will toss it to Jay.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. My name is Jay Yovanovich, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at King 5, which is, of course, a TEGNA station. I have been here for 5 years. I've been with TEGNA for 5 years. Just really quickly, you may wonder, well, what does someone do in a marketing department in a TV station? Well, really, you do a little of everything. So the main things that you do to work in marketing at a TV station is you have to understand photography, writing, graphic design, sound design, and just kind of be an ultimate team player. So if you like doing all of those things, then being a marketing producer is this incredible job that I never knew existed when I went to college. So yeah, I'm excited to hear from everyone, and if anybody has any questions about that, I'll be here to answer them.
Awesome, thanks, Jay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. We're going to take you just on a little tour of TEGNA with a little PowerPoint and a couple of videos that we've got to here for you. So you should be able to see a screen here that says TEGNA on it, and I'll make my presentation screen. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. First off, just kind of show where we are as a company. We're everywhere, okay? Anywhere you want to work, we kind of have a station. So it's 64 stations across 51 markets, and you'll see us in the state of Washington, in the upper left there with King 5, and then Comm 2 over in Spokane. But we're all across the country with different marketing, news, and sales jobs available across all of these stations. So we're kind of everywhere. Then I'm just going to show just a quick little video, give you a little sense of kind of what we do as a company, but also know that the people that produce this video were primarily from our marketing team. So if you're interested in marketing and Jay's team, those are the people that produce this video too as well, that primarily highlights what our news and content teams do, but produced by marketing.
What we do matters. What we do is too important to give up now.
As you can see right now, Jenna and Susan are both in handcuffs. He just told me that I'm not allowed to record.
I was made for this. Your career is being followed really closely.
I felt your support being two of the very few TV news journalists who are Hmong. Now you're making history as the first Hmong male news anchor in the country. Hai Kun Gam.
TEGNA means the ability to innovate.
The creative freedom to tell amazing stories.
People who support your weird ideas.
No matter how crazy it may be,
I get to be myself.
So every day in TEGNA is just like that, right, Elizabeth? And every day is just like that. So that's some of what we do. Hold on a second. It's gonna take me just a second to get past it. Hold on. There we go. There it is. Okay. So you saw a little bit of kind of what our content teams do with this, but we kind of have products all over the place. And I want to look at these screens off to the left that you see here. These are the most important screens of the day. So, well, we generate a lot of revenue from our traditional TV product that you see with newscasts and some of the shows that we have on our air. You know, where you consume it, and everybody on this call is pretty much getting their stuff from the screens on the left, right? It's either an iPad, a laptop, or a phone where we're getting most of our stuff from. And that's where we're consuming most of our content versus whether it's news or entertainment. So those are the screens that in many ways are usually the most important of the day. Again, even though linear television is where we make a lot of our money with our newscast, it is those screens on the left that I know Jay and Elizabeth feel are our most important screens, right? Those are the most important screens. Elizabeth is vigorously nodding, I know. So those are our most important screens of the day and where we want to reach our audiences with. So we create content across all platforms on all those different screens. We also offer some other kind of content out there. So Locked On is our sports podcasting company that just keeps growing and growing. So it's not only it's podcasting, but all those episodes are also on YouTube. These are for all major professional sports franchises and major college teams. So we have Locked On Seahawks, Locked On Kraken, Locked On Huskies, right? With all the important teams in Seattle, we've got a Locked On podcast for them, and those episodes are also on YouTube. So we own that company as well if you're interested in more going into the sports podcasting realm as well. Then we also offer an entertainment program called Daily Blast Live that airs live across all kinds of different time zones several times throughout the day, constantly refreshed, heavily on social interaction. And that is based out of our station in Denver, Colorado. So we also offer a syndicated entertainment program. Along with that, we've also got a true crime network, which is just that. We've also got a true crime podcasting company called The Vault, which we also own. All kinds of different products across all kinds of platforms, not just traditional television newscasts. Things that make TEGNA unique. This is my favorite slide in the whole bunch. I love this slide. I could talk about this slide for like an hour. I promise I'll only try to do it for like 5 minutes, but I love this particular slide because the most important two things are the two things on the left. Commitment to innovation and transforming news. This isn't just something that we say we're going to do. We do it every single day. So King 5, for example, has the receipts that they can show on commitment to innovation and transforming news. You look at our product across platforms in the Seattle market, compares to anybody else that does television news or any other kind of content. Ours is significantly different, more creative, more innovative, and pushing the bounds of traditional newscast and television product and how you get news and information. This is what we do. We're really good at it. And we don't just do it because it's a gimmick or trying to be different. We are doing this in order to connect with our audiences better on the platforms where they want us. And so that's where we get into people that are just graduating with their master's degree or just graduating with their bachelor's degree from a place like the University of Washington can significantly help the box on the left there, commitment to innovation and transforming what news is and news content is. This is where we need your ideas to help us move forward. So when you come into a company like TEGNA, we're asking for your ideas right away. Even though you may only have a week or two of experience, we're constantly pushing stuff on that. I'm gonna touch base with Elizabeth there to see how she does that with her new entry-level digital producers that you have there. Elizabeth, how do you do that on a day-to-day basis and get people on your team engaged around innovation and transforming news?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple different ways. One of the things my team does, we're focused mostly on, creating and publishing content across all our platforms. So that ranges from everything to stories on our website, social posts, kind of across the board. We're doing everything digital. And so there's a couple ways I encourage innovation. We encourage people to bring their story ideas. So, even if it's not a story we're covering on broadcast, we can still cover it on digital, and we want our digital producers to go out and find those stories to tell. I had a digital producer last year who kind of took on our Instagram account, completely revamped the look of it, made sure it was on brand with the King 5 brand. So it met, kind of Jay's standards for what our brand content looks like. And he did that on his own on top of his normal day-to-day. So I think there's a lot of different ways we try to encourage innovation where we can on my team.
And to Jay, how do you look to your early career talent, someone that might not have as much experience as other people on your team, to make sure that they're moving and have opportunity to move content forward in your place?
I mean, really, I don't put any boundaries in front of them. I mean, I've got super young producers who produce incredible content that I would put up against anybody in the country. And it's really just because if they have ideas, I let them run with them and not put any too many walls or boundaries in front of them at the start, and see what they come up with. And if we have to refine it at the end, we will. But the main thing is that you're able to express that creativity right away. You're able to go out and produce and not worry about, are you doing the right thing? You're doing a thing, and we're going to make it right. So.
And I'm going to keep you on the spot here, Jay, and talk a little bit about how it's okay to fail in the marketing department at King, how that's like a thing that is encouraged there. It's okay to fail. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, so creative is subjective, right? There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to creative work or creative content. So everyone has a different lens on what they believe works and what doesn't. So who am I to say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that? And at the end of the day, you're going to try something, and if it's great, we run with it. And if it doesn't quite meet our brand guidelines, we've learned something from it, and maybe that content doesn't run, but we learned something from it, and we apply that to the next project.
Yeah, we're spending a lot of time on that first box over there because it is so important, and it's where people coming just out of school, out of the University of Washington, can really help us move forward as a company. So that's one of the things I just love talking about. The next one is the next most important thing, and equally as important as anything else that we do, that inclusive culture that values diverse perspectives. This is something, again, this is a company that's got the receipts on this on a day-to-day basis in every single one of our newsrooms. So one of the things that we have our entire staffs go through is an inclusive journalism program. So when you start, you get a day and a half of significant training around how to be more inclusive and how we tell stories and represent underrepresented parts of our community, and making sure that is at the forefront of every single day. What perspectives are we missing in this particular story? How can we encourage people to pitch more stories from different communities we don't often hear from? Then how do we execute on that? And what does our product look like? So Elizabeth is constantly looking at that from a digital perspective. Who is appearing on her website and app? She is constantly looking at the communities that are represented there. And then same thing in the marketing messages that Jay is sending out. What are the communities that are represented in his messages that are being communicated to the entire Seattle market? So important that we are representing our underrepresented communities and making sure we give strong voice to places that have traditionally been unrepresented. And we start by looking internally. This is one of my favorite stories about King, is about facing race. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Elizabeth. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit about facing race and some of the growth that we saw through facing race and kind of how that came about, and how we are valuing inclusive cultures by looking internally first and then outward. Go ahead. You didn't know this was coming. Sorry,
No, that's fine. That's okay. I can start, and then Jay, feel free to jump in, because I know you were here at the actual kind of start of it, and that was before I got here. But facing race is we have a whole work group dedicated basically to race and equity journalism. So they're really trying to do longer form content around some of those underrepresented or just communities that don't get as much attention, issues that are all due to race and equity, things like that, really trying to shed a light on some of that and do it consistently. I think that was the big part about the initial idea, but then why we've carried it through is it's kind of how we hold ourselves accountable, right? Like we have devoted headcount to this, we devote time in our broadcasts, we devote resources to telling these stories. And we've had some really good content come out of that. And I think we've built some really good connections. And one of the benefits to me in the long term is that it's spilled over into our daily coverage where now, that team has built all these connections. So when there's a breaking news story or something going on that day, they have these sources and connections that we can turn to bring those perspectives in. Because part of what, diverse storytelling is about is like, looking at any story of the day, not just through a white lens, right? We don't want just that one perspective about the issues. And so that's a big part of kind of how it's grown, especially more recently, I think. And then Jay, I don't know if you want to talk about that actual initial launch and kind of how it all got started.
Yeah, I can touch on that. Following the killing of George Floyd, this newsroom knew that we had to do something that there was, there was not only content, but a sentiment out there that there's a wide swath of our population that does understand some of the societal issues that play here. And quite honestly, how much racism there is and how racist, really we all are. And sometimes we don't know that we're doing it. So one of the first stories we ever did was a white Seattle dad, who was the father to an African-American girl, and he was racist. And he basically came out and said, I say racist things. I don't mean to, but I do. And I want to know why I'm saying it. We ended up doing a 13-week run of this TV show. And after that TV show was done, which we aired right after Sunday Night Football, so we gave it the biggest platform you could possibly have, then we actually created the unit. So we set out by just doing a TV show, and then it turned into a unit, and now it permeates our everyday coverage. So it's been a really nice arc to see, like not only within our newsroom, but within our content. And I'll just finally say that like this kind of work has been in the DNA of King here in Seattle for a long time. In the 60s, we had a show called Face to Face, which at the time was a groundbreaking show as well. And they explored a lot of issues that were happening in the 60s here in Seattle around housing inequities and racism and policing and other things. And so that's why TEGNA stations and King, they're special places because they have journalists who have done this before. They have a history of doing the right thing. They have a history of doing this groundbreaking, unique content that other stations won't do, but we know that we have to do it. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay and Elizabeth, for filling us in on that. So I'm going to kind of quickly go through a lot of our next slides here. We're spending a lot of time on those first two squares there. Those are the two most important things we're going to talk about. But I'm going to quickly run through some other slides here in the final 10 minutes or so of this part of the presentation that'll answer a lot of your questions for you, and including the career growth and the competitive benefits. So I'll kind of keep moving through as we, whoops, hold on a second, I'm in the wrong spot. As we keep moving through here. So you can see what our purpose is, and Jay just described a little bit how that works. Especially around those values that you see on the right too, with how facing race kind of came about. But I want to touch base just real quick on impact and results there on the bottom. Not only are we here to serve the greater good of our communities, but we got to be able to move the needle here. We got to get results on this, right? So we got to make sure that we're having impacts, right? So not only can be measured through ratings and page views and that kind of stuff, and that's great, but are we actually moving things ahead and moving conversation ahead? Around things like race in the market of Seattle. So that's one of the things that we look for, and we try to get some measurement on that by talking with key groups and stakeholders in the community to see if we're having that. And I can say for sure King is having that, but as a company, we look to do that in every single one of our newsrooms and our markets and our stations. So that's a quick look at our purpose and our values there too. People first, so safety training for all journalists, right? So this is the thing that we are very much invested in. As a news director, the best part of my day was seeing that everybody came home safe, right? That's the main thing I was interested in. If we got the news covered too, that was That was a benefit, but it was your safety was the most important thing. We always say the no story is worth any kind of danger to our journalists. And so we give extensive safety training for all journalists, led by a gentleman named Marcus Snipes, who formerly worked for the Secret Service. And he is the head of security for our company. And he's the one that goes through the training, and you're mandated to go through that training as you get into our company. So you're staying safe out in the field, in the newsroom, around the stations, in that environment. The next thing I just want to briefly touch on is the priority around mental health. Again, this is a people-first company. We prioritize this with a number of different benefits I'm going to get to in a later slide, but just know that your mental health and your happiness and being happy at work and taking time away from work is a key part of what makes our company successful and why it's fun to work for TEGNA, right? And we're talking to two of the people that work at the most fun and best station in our company. It's King, right? So I was just telling Elizabeth right before this call, if you tilt her camera to her right shoulder and look that direction, it's basically a rolling carnival over there in the newsroom. It's awesome. I love that King newsroom because it's so much fun over there. Are you going to show us, King? Yeah. All the cubicles are decorated and that kind of stuff. It's awesome, right? So that's part of prioritizing mental health, is having fun at work. And every time I look on LinkedIn or anything, there's always something different, crazy, and fun going on at King. I just love it. Not that they don't, jump in with all hands on deck and breaking news all the time, but in between all the breaking news, they're having fun, and I just love to see it. It's one of my favorite places to look at. I'm just going to quickly, we're going to bypass that. I just want to quickly talk about a couple early career development programs. With my email up there on top too, you can reach out to me about these programs if you're interested. ncooper@tegna.com. Producer in Residence is a 2-year program for people coming out of a bachelor's or a master's program. Starts every year in June. You learn a cross-platform approach, broadcast and digital, and every social platform we have, along with the peers in a big newsroom as big as King potentially. And that prepares you for growth either in the market that you're in, like Seattle, or some other market that you may want to go into as a digital or a newscast producer. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, please email me. It is the most successful producer development program in the country. We hire the 50 best and brightest journalists in the country every year to join this program. And we've got an 80% success rate of promoting you from producer in residence into a regular producer position at one of our stations. It's highly successful. I'm briefly going to mention the internship for this summer because we're almost full. The last offers are literally going out for all of our summer 2023 interns. But for those on the call that are potentially sophomores, they're looking, or you have another year left in your master's program, the same internship program will be back next summer, where we pay you 40 hours a week, and it's more than Seattle. I can't remember, what's the minimum wage in there, Elizabeth? What is it? 16 something, right?
Yeah, I can't remember, and it
Yeah.
might have just gone up recently, but
Yeah.
we do pay the Seattle minimum wage,
Yeah.
not the 15 you see here, just
Yeah,
FYI.
it pays higher in markets where it pays higher. Must be entering in your senior year or in that second year, or going into your second year of your master's program. That's what we look for there for the interns. But again, those positions are going to be filled very quickly for this summer. This is more looking at for next summer. I want to highlight just really quick around when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have an inclusive journalism program. And this is the kind of thing that we give you the training on to do the kind of things that Jay and Elizabeth were talking about and how we represent underrepresented communities. It's a 3-part training. We give our leaders like Jay and Elizabeth coaching and action planning so they can implement the things we want to do around this program in their newsrooms and on their marketing teams. And then we bring in a third party to audit us to see how well we're doing. And we measure things in terms of who we're representing in our stories on our website and our apps and on our air and across our marketing messages. We audit, I think it's twice a year, 3 times a year for our big markets, somewhere in there. 3 times a year, we do an audit to see how well we're doing. No other company does this. No other company does this except TEGNA, to make sure we're holding ourselves accountable on representing our underrepresented communities. And this isn't just around race and ethnicity. It's also around things like sexual orientation, geographic diversity. We're looking at a bunch of different things when we talk about diversity in our newsrooms and in our product. I'm just going to really quick talk about some of the things that we look for when we look to hire people right out of places like the University of Washington. We look for skills, right? Journalism and marketing skills. We're looking for those right away. So, writing for the Daily or working with marketing teams there at the University of Washington and getting that kind of experience is critical to getting a job with us. right? And then we also look for authentic people. We're looking for people that can not be a 20-year-old cosplaying a 40-year-old for a 60-year-old audience. We want the authentic you when we're sitting across from you in an interview, and that's who we want on our air and on our marketing teams and on our digital teams, right? We need and also need them to have a heavy ability to adapt, overcome, and improvise. It's a lot of breaking news. It's a lot of throwing the plan out the window for the day and reacting to what's going on. And then if you're going to be an on-air person, you got to have great on-air presentation skills as well. And again, the values that we look for over there on the right, those are our company values. These are just some quick tips for interviewing with us and any TEGNA hiring manager. I always want to make sure that these are my tips for the interview anyway. So we try to also impart some actionable advice in these TEGNA info sessions. Please do your research, especially if you're going for a journalism or a marketing job. We need to know how well you can research something and figure out what's actually going on with that company, with the person that's across from you in the interview. Have at least 2 great questions ready to go to show you did your research. We are looking for in the interview ways that you can be the authentic you, right? So if you're funny, don't try to force it, but it's okay to show your humor, right? If that's the kind of person you are, that's who we want to see across from you. If you're more serious, that's okay too. But be the authentic you, and don't try to be somebody that you're not. Be memorable in a unique, positive way, not in a negative way, right? So there's many things that are stories that you can tell potentially that can make you stand out. If you've got some of those stories that show that demonstrate your skills in a unique, memorable way, we look for something like that to kind of help set you apart. And then we usually look for something that demonstrates your self-awareness when we're asking you some questions. How well do you know what it is about yourself that may set others off about you, and what you do to kind of mitigate that and get along with other people and work as a team? So we look for a lot of those questions, a lot of those characteristics in the interview. Then quickly, I'm just going to run through some benefits, and then we'll kind of open it up for some questions after this. These are some of the benefits that we offer as a company, which are some of the best in the industry that are awesome. So the first thing to know is we offer a 401. Let's talk about, first thing we're going to talk about is how you retire in 60 years. Let's talk about that. I love bringing this up with my college students. This is great. But we offer a 401k match to help with your retirement at 4%, meaning if you put 4% of your salary into your 401k for your retirement, the company will match that at 4% from the very first day of your work for a total of 8% going into your 401k, which is great. When you get to have hair the color of mine, you can look forward to something like that. Also note, we also offer 9 telehealth sessions, right? We don't have to go in to see a doctor. You can do something over Zoom with a doctor to get a diagnosis or some advice about what to do. And then we also offer 12 free teletherapy sessions, mental health therapy sessions with a mental health therapist of your choice, regardless of whether you sign up for our benefits or not. We're going to give you 12 free of these a year. That's how important we think mental health is in our company. We're going to offer 12 free sessions a year, whether you sign up for our benefits or not, to make sure you have somebody to talk with on a monthly basis about your mental health. Then we're going to give you $500 to dump in from your health savings account that you can put towards more mental health sessions should you want it as we go through. We also offer a volunteer day off. We'll pay you for 10 hours not to come to work one day and go down to Big Brothers Big Sisters and shoot hoops or play video games or go volunteer and at a food drive or something like that. We will pay you to do that. Don't come into work, go volunteer. We want you to invest in our community. We'll pay you not to come to work. We also offer a 2-for-1 donation match for a qualifying charity of your choice. If you want to put $100 towards helping improve the lives of ALS patients in Seattle, for a qualified charity there in Seattle, TEGNA will throw $200 towards that. 2-for-1. We offer more than $1.3 million as a company towards our 2-for-1 donation match to charities in 2021. And then finally, we'll help pay for your master's degree or continuing education. $1,500 a year goes to tuition reimbursement. These are great for online courses that usually don't cost too much more than that per year sometimes. And you can get your master's with us. We have some people get meteorology degrees with us, or potential niche reporting degrees. I just had a reporter in San Diego. She just got her degree in computer forensics from Boston University, because that's her niche reporting and down there in San Diego. So we offer that as well as a company. All right, so I think I did most of that. These are some email addresses that you're going to want to take a look at and potentially write down or take a picture of. For TEGNA questions or early career questions, please reach out to me and Cooper at TEGNA.com. For any kind of marketing questions, please reach out to Jay and any kind of news questions and how it works in a newsroom, digital, social, how it works. And she's worked in different markets too, right? You can ask Elizabeth about a lot of stuff, right? Jay and Elizabeth know what time it is, right? They're gonna be heavily invested into getting you candid answers to your questions. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of leave it on this screen for a second while we open it up to questions if people want to copy that down or take a picture of it. What questions can we answer for you just in general about anything? Go ahead.
I think for everyone, if you want to type, you can type in our chat box, but we're a small group and feel free to unmute yourself and ask directly.
Hi, I'm Angela. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
You talked some about the early career opportunities. I am more of a mid-career person, and so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what opportunities you might have for people who are just finishing their master's but have some work experience behind them.
Yeah, so we highly value people with life experience too, right? So in that mid-career thing, we get excited about that because you've got some of that life experience that can really help push our product forward in many ways because you've done some stuff, you've failed at some things, you've had great successes at some things. You can use that experience to help us innovate. So we offer for someone in mid-career with a master's degree, we look at some of those people across news, marketing, sales. We have opportunities for those people across all three of those particular departments. Very similar to some of our entry-level people coming right out of college. They may not have the career experience that you do, but because you do have the career experience, we can help focus more a little bit on what you're looking to do. A lot of it depends on what you're interested in doing. I like to take people in those mid-career things and really focus them on one particular station and maybe one particular job versus someone that really doesn't know what they want to do. You've had some more experience in trying some things out in your life, so you probably have a little bit better idea. So I tend to focus you more on one particular job with one particular hiring manager at a station that is really looking for someone with your level of experience, especially life experience too, versus giving you like 8 different things where you're like, I don't need to worry about these other 7. I just kind of want the one. So it's in many ways we can help focus a little bit more based on your life experience and your previous career experience. That's kind of a broad answer, but we tend to focus you more on one thing, one station, one opportunity.
Thanks, Noah.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah. Hi, Noah. I'm Charlotte. Yeah, I'm a current student in Comm Lead, and I'm looking for like summer internship jobs related to marketing. So I'm just curious, but I read your website, like also the company job website. I'm seeing that there is a summer marketing internship, but it is based in Berlin, if I remember it correctly. So I'm just wondering if I want to apply for the job, but I'm currently based in Seattle, but I'm open to relocation. Do you still encourage me to like apply for the summer marketing internship role? Are you like accepting interns that are not currently located in the exact city?
Yeah, so the first thing to note is that listing on our website, it says McLean, Virginia on the location because we're required to put down a location. That's where our company headquarters are, but it's multiple locations. So I think we had more than 40 TEGNA stations of our 49 stations or 49 places that wanted that have marketing departments. 40 of those stations requested a marketing intern. I think we're going to be able to offer 5 marketing internships across the company for the summer. Offers have been made to 5 people. Some of those will be declined. So I do encourage you to apply like tonight because we need to have backups for those people that do decline. And Jay, here's the question for you. Did you request a marketing intern?
I did. Did I get one?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't hire for the marketing interns, so I apologize. I hire for the news content interns. So I don't know if Seattle's already been offered and accepted. I don't know if that's been the case, but I encourage you to apply tonight because that person may have declined or we just may not have an offer out. We still might have a slot open, but apply right away because that position is going to close in about a week. We're going to take down that posting in about a week. Like most of our internships are full except for sales I think we may have 1 or 2 spots open on the news and or marketing side. So I encourage you to apply right away because that is being offered in Seattle.
Yeah, I see. So like for the whole application process, will the website ask for a referral code, or do you provide like referral to like applicants?
A referral code? I'm sorry, I don't. We ask for a code.
I'm not sure about it because I haven't gone through the whole application process. I'm just asking that whether you will need, or do you ask for a referral code?
Oh, like some kind of reference. Do we ask for references for people that can speak to some of your strengths? Do we do that? I think yes, that is part of it. We do ask for some references on there.
Oh yeah.
And if you have more questions about that, you can reach out to me to just ask some questions directly about that marketing internship process too, because I'll try and find those answers for you.
Yeah,
I think I'm trying to understand what Charlotte is asking. Probably like she was wondering like if there are some internal referral that she can take advantage, because if she's a Comm student, if our hiring manager or the recruiting team could immediately recognize that. Is that what you're asking, Charlotte?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have a like formal referral code system. What I've been telling interns who are applying to do is if they do apply, let me know and I can help make sure their name gets to the top of the stack. So we can say, hey, this is a student who decided to apply after we reached out to their program, make sure they're screened, they go through interview process, that kind of stuff. So if you do decide to apply, I'm not the marketing person, obviously, but from that side, but yeah, you can reach out to Jay and Noah and say, hey, I did apply. If, someone declines an offer and an opening comes up, I'd love to be considered so we can make sure your application doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, the talent scouts or people who work with Noah, they will email me and they will say, hey, do you have someone from the UW program? So if I have your name, if you apply, just send me an email. I think you have my email from before. And that way I can say, yes, I know Charlotte. I've met Charlotte online. I know that she applied, and that will probably get you ahead of the line of a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. By the way, the marketing internships, I'll brag a little bit, are awesome. You do so much valuable work. You get so much experience. The last intern we have, she now has some bigwig job with TikTok. So it's definitely a cool experience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it if there's still like spots available. Yeah, thank you so much anyway.
Thanks, Charlotte. What other questions can we answer?
Do we have any other questions, or does everyone feel comfortable to join into the breakout room to ask questions individually?